Dear friends, welcome to Easy Walk to English Grammar and to Determiners Part 4. Today we'll be dealing with two more determiners, less and fewer. Both of them are confusing to an extent for most of us. Nothing to be worried, we'll be dealing with them in detail today. And welcome you all once again to Easy Walk to English Grammar. Let's start with less, and we can say that less indicates quantity. Means we can use less along with quantity in order to indicate the quantity or the measurement of something. When we say this, you have to understand we cannot use less with numbers. We can use less only with quantity, with uncountable nouns. Dear friends, if any one of you needs to know what uncountable nouns are, please watch our previous video. It's dealt in detail in that video. Determiners Part 3. Coming back to our point here, less indicates quantity, a measurement. Means it can be used along with uncountable nouns. To tell you further, it cannot be used with numbers, only with quantity. You will understand this clearer when we move on to fewer. Wait until then, please. And less is a comparative form of the word little. Little, less, and least. What did you understand by the phrase comparative form? Comparative form means all the adverbs and all the adjectives have three forms: the positive form, the comparative form, and the superlative form. We can deal with them in some of our coming videos. Now, you need to understand this much. Comparative form means we can use these adverbs or adjectives to compare one thing with some other thing, or more than one thing with some other things. Anyway, comparative forms help us to compare things. And less is the comparative form of little. Little, less, least. Little is the positive form, less is the comparative form, and least is the superlative form. Less is used along with uncountable nouns in order to indicate quantity and to compare the particular noun with something else. That's the purpose of less. Did you understand, my dear friends? Let's go for some examples. I use less oil in my diet. See, I use less oil in my diet. Oil. Oil is an uncountable noun. We cannot count it on the basis of number. We cannot say 1 oil, 2 oil, 3 oil. We can only say 1 liter of oil or 2 liters of oil. Only a measurement can be given, and oil is an uncountable noun. We use the determiner less to indicate a particular measurement of the uncountable noun oil. I use less oil. What's the measurement there? Less. Less in quantity. I use less oil in my diet. We told less is a comparative form of little and we can use it to compare something to other or something with other. I think this idea will be okay for you if we add something to this sentence. See the difference. When we add the word now, I use less oil in my diet now means it was not so before. Earlier we used a lot of oil, but now we have reduced the measurement. We cut down the quantity of oil in our diet. So a comparison is going on between the present state and the past state. And less the determiner helped us to compare the present state of oil consumption and the past state of oil consumption. I hope you understood both the points by now. We'll go for one more example. We have to spend less money for the trip. We have to spend less money for the trip. Money, of course, is an uncountable noun and we used the determiner less along with that in order to show a particular amount, a particular quantity or measurement. We have to spend less money for the trip. In this sentence, how did we use the determiner less for comparison? We'll try to add something more to this sentence than before. See the difference? We have to spend less money for the trip than before. Means earlier we had to spend a lot of money for this particular trip. But now we need to spend only less money. A comparison is going on there. Dear friends, I hope you understood how less the determiner can be used to compare things. Now we can move on to fewer. On contrary to less, fewer indicates number. Fewer, the determiner, gives us an idea about the number of something, whereas less, the determiner, gives us the idea of the quantity of something. Fewer is the comparative form of few. Few, fewer, fewest. The positive form few, the comparative form fewer, the superlative form fewest. We can go for an example. Oops, there are fewer idlis left. See, idlis is a countable noun. We can count it as 1 idli, 2 idlis, 3 idlis, and so on. Fewer gives us an idea of number of the particular noun, idli. It's not definite. From the use of fewer, we won't get a definite idea of a definite number. For example, if there are 3 idlis, if there are 4 idlis or 5 idlis, we are not sure. But certainly we get an idea of minimum number of idlis. They are not up to our need. The number of idlis now in a plate or in a dish are not satisfactory or is not enough to satisfy our needs, our present needs. That idea we'll get with the help of the determiner fewer in this sentence. Hence, we can say that fewer gives us an idea of number. It indicates number of a particular noun. We also quoted a point here, comparative form of few. Fewer is the comparative form of few. Means the determiner fewer also helps us to compare the number of a particular noun with some other things. A comparison is possible with the help of the determiner fewer. You'll get the idea clearer if we add something to the sentence. Oops, there are fewer idlis left than I had hoped. See the difference? I hoped for more idlis, but only fewer idlis are left in the dish. Oops, there are fewer idlis left than I hoped. So a comparison is going on between the actual number of the idlis and my hope. The number of idlis that I expected to be present in the dish. A comparison between the actual and the expectation is going on or is made possible with the help of the determiner fewer. Is it clear, my dear friends? Anyway, let's go for one more example. I have fewer books in my library. Books. Countable noun. 1 book, 2 book, 3 book. We can count it. 1 book, 2 books, 3 books, I'm sorry. So anyway, the books are countable. And we used fewer, the determiner, in that sentence to get an idea of the number of books, though not certain. We don't get a definite number of books in that person's library, but we get an idea that there are fewer books. He's trying to compare it with something else. That idea we can understand from this sentence, fewer books in my library. This comparison, this idea of comparison will become clearer if we try to add something else to the sentence. I have fewer books in my library than my father had. See the difference? My father had lots of books in his library in the past, but I don't have that much books in my library now. That comparison is made possible with the help of the determiner fewer. I think the point is okay for you now. As I always remind you of something, my friends, you need to watch the video repeatedly if you feel doubts. Because this is an educational oriented video, you cannot watch this video for pleasure. Repeated watching will definitely help you to improve or to understand this particular matter better. Let's have a closer look into the difference between less and fewer. Here are some sentences and we can dissect them in detail. There is less sugar in the pot. The first sentence. there is less sugar in the pot. Here, sugar, the uncountable noun, is introduced with the help of the determiner less. Less here helps us to get an idea of the quantity of sugar, and at the same time it gives us a comparison, though the comparison is not directly present. We have to sense it. It's not directly given here, that comparison. For example, a few days before, there might have been more sugar in the pot. As it has been consumed by the family members, the quantity of sugar might have been reduced by the time we speak this sentence. By the time we use this sentence, there is less sugar in the pot. So, though hiddenly, a comparison is going on between the past quantity of sugar in the pot and the present quantity of sugar in the pot. And less, the determiner, helped us to have such a comparison. Coming to the second sentence, there are fewer students in the class. Students, countable noun. Fewer is the determiner that helped us to introduce the countable noun students. At the same time, fewer helps us to have a comparison between the presence of the students in the class on the day which we speak this sentence or which we tell this sentence, and the presence of the students in the class the day before or some days before. That comparison is going on. We have to try to sense it as it's not given directly in the sentence. The third sentence, this time I had only less fear to read Dracula. Here fear, the uncountable noun, is introduced with the help of the determiner less. At the same time, less gives us a comparison which is evident in this sentence. It's directly present in this sentence. This time I had only less fear. It means when I read Dracula, the all-time scariest novel, in the previous times, I was much afraid of doing that. But this time, I have only less fear. This time, I had only less fear to read Dracula. The fourth sentence. This year, I have only few friends. Fear, the determiner that we used in this sentence to introduce the countable noun friends, and a comparison is evident in this sentence also. This year I have only few friends means in the previous years I had more friends. A comparison between the number of friends that I have this year and the number of friends that I had in the previous years. Fewer helped us to get an idea of comparison in this sentence. Fifth sentence, there was less rain this year. Rain, uncountable noun. Less, the determiner that helped us to introduce the uncountable noun rain. A comparison is clear in this sentence also. There was less rain this year, means in the previous years there was more rain. There was less rain in this year, there was more rain in the previous year. That comparison is clear. Sixth sentence, fewer flowers bloomed in this season. Flowers, countable noun. Fewer, the determiner that helps us to introduce the countable noun flowers. At the same time, it gives us an idea of comparison between the blooming of flowers in this season and that of in the previous seasons. Next sentence, less work is sometimes quite boring. Work, uncountable in this sentence. Less is the determiner that helps us to introduce the uncountable noun work. At the same time, we can have a comparison, though it's not directly given here. Less work is sometimes quite boring. Means sometimes less work is quite relaxing. We can enjoy if we have less work. But some at sometimes if we have less work, we feel quite boring. So a comparison between two situations is given here, though not directly. Next sentence, I spent only fewer days in this place. Days, countable. Fewer, the determiner that helped us to introduce the countable noun days. I spent only fewer days in this place means a comparison can be sensed. I might have spent more days in this place in the previous times, but this time I spent only fewer days. Or it can be in another sense also. I have spent more days in other places, but I have spent only fewer days in this place. That can also be the comparison. Anyway, dear friends, I hope you are okay with the differences between less and fewer by this time. If you are happy with the video, please don't forget to get the video a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel, and while subscribing, please tap on the small bell icon and select option all in order to receive the notifications of my future videos. Dear friends, one more thing. This is part 4 of the determiners series. There are 3 more parts. For better understanding of the topic, you may please watch the video. If you visit the video, you can see the playlist there, and I can also give the links below in the description box. Thank you so much for watching the video. We'll meet soon with the next video, of course, with part 5 of determiners. Until then, take care. Bye for now.